So I found it's not really a quote, but a sentence in a study guide that I'm working on, not working on, but studying. And that sentence is this: the soul will never find its true place in the natural order of the universe until it blends and unites with the natural order. Trouble is self-imposed. Peace forever lies calm and serene at the center. I love all but 4 words of that. And the words that I don't love is trouble is self-imposed, because sometimes it's easier to blame it on somebody else. It's easier to blame it on God. It's easier to blame it on situations. But knowing that the God presence is within us, the natural order is within us, we can always turn to that, and trouble ceases to be. This natural order is that divine experience that that we all can live. And the divine order is that statement that I make on just about every Sunday, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, not the other way around. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. That's the natural order. Natural order is what is set in place in the creation, in the even before the creation, in the thought that inspired the creation of everything. Natural order was already there. It was God. You know, we look at circumstances in our life and we try to make them perfect. We try to make them peaceful. We try to make them good. I love the word try. You want to volunteer for a second? Come here. Okay, I think I've showed this to some of y'all, but I'm going to show it to everybody. Try to pick that up. Okay, no, you just picked it up. Try to pick it up. Tries to do it faster. No. Okay, you can sit down. I'm not going to embarrass you. There is no try. You either do it or you don't. Now, you can make a lot of efforts to do something and not succeed. But the word try is an excuse. We can try to find peace in difficult situations. We can try to find love in hateful situations. We can try. Those are excuses. It's a way for us to say, well, I did something, so it's all your fault. It's not their fault. They may be causing the action. They may be doing something, but our reaction, our perception is our total responsibility. And if we're looking at it from a human point of view, we're going to look at it with the same energy that is creating that which we are trying to change. Any situation that you have in your life that you want to change, you have to find a different level of energy to approach it, or you will never solve the problem. You'll never solve it. The best energy, obviously, is that energy of truth, that energy of love, that energy of peace, that energy of divine presence that's within us. Somebody once questioned, how can you say that it's within you? God's out there. God's on that cloud over there. We're not going to go there. The connection that we have with God is always internal. You can't connect with God out there, because then you're outside of yourself, so there is no connection. So it's got to be within. The connection, the wholeness, the oneness that is with God is internal. In our meditation, we talked about the center. That center is, some people call it their heart. But as my good friend Andy pointed out one day, the heart's just a muscle. So it's beyond that. It's beyond that. It is that connection, that center is infinite. That center is wherever God is. And since God is everywhere, omnipresent, our center is everywhere, but we connect to it through something within. We must remember that if we are ever to experience peace, we've got to go to that center. Because anything else is just fleeting. You know, you may get in an argument with somebody and you have a really sharp wit comment, and for a second, man, it feels good. Oh, yeah, got him. It's fleeting. It doesn't last. The peace that lasts, the love that lasts, the goodness that lasts is found in the center. When we're aligned with our center, spiritual laws and truth, we are then propelled into right action and easy accomplishment. And notice those words. When we are aligned with our center, with spiritual laws, with truth, which is God, then the spiritual laws, and the spiritual laws are the natural laws of this universe. It's what holds everything together, and gravity is one of them. If we didn't have that, we'd be sailing around the universe somewhere. When we're aligned with all of that, we are actually encouraged from within into right action. So if we're facing a hateful person, when we're aligned with our center, we know how to respond, how to react. We know what energy to give to that situation. And then these two words, we not only are propelled into right action, but we are propelled into easy accomplishment. Using the energy of the divine, using the energy of goodness, of love, things become easy. I had a teacher one time, she said, giving 99.9% sounds wonderful, but it's hard. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do because you are just not quite there. But when you give 100%, you can't give 110 because there's only 100. When you give 100%, it's easy. And if you ever noticed that, when you're doing something, even if it's something fun, if you're just kind of halfway into it, it's kind of a struggle, but when you give it all, it's just fun, it's easy, it's flowing. Life is the same way. It's what we give into it, what we perceive, that dictates how easy or hard it's going to be, how loving or hateful it's going to be, how peaceful or chaotic it's going to be. Now, we talk a lot about our thoughts and how our thoughts create, and they do. And the thoughts that we have about situations or people or things dictate how we feel, how we experience. We talk about in the Bible, it talks about the Word of God was the beginning. It's the thought. It's the thought that God had in the beginning that created everything. We know that thought creates. But I've come to understand recently that it's even more than the thoughts. It's the foundation behind those thoughts that matter. You know, one of the things that we've also talked about is that each of us have something like 80,000 thoughts per day. And we're always talking, tune into your thoughts. 80,000 thoughts, man. Can you imagine you'd be stuck in a chair all day long. Oh my God. Trying to figure out what those thoughts are. We do have thoughts that are on the conscious level. We have thoughts that are on the subconscious that we can bring into the conscious, and we can tune into those. We can change those into thoughts of positivity, thoughts of creation, thoughts of love, thoughts of peace. But there's still a whole lot running around. And if thoughts create, which we believe to be true, what are those underlying thoughts doing to our creation? This all came about, I was working on something here recently, and no matter what I did, no matter what positive thoughts I put into it, no matter what loving thoughts I put into it, it just was not working out. And I realized that I was trying to force it because there was something inside of me saying God wasn't in it. I felt, even though I truly believe that we're all one with God, that there is no separation whatsoever, even though I believe that, there was something in me going, yeah, well, that might work for everybody else. And it really struck me. I mean, I've sat up here for 7 years now, and this has been recent. And I'm thinking that. And so I had to stop and pull back and just let go of everything and go focus on that. What was going on with that? There was something inside of me that was doubting what I sit up here and talk about. And when I realized that and concentrated on it and came to truth, there is no separation. How silly is that? How is that even possible? There is no separation. When I realized that, that whole situation started flowing even without me putting forth an effort. So our thoughts are huge because our thoughts are going to start revealing what our foundation beliefs are. And this is very important to do because those subconscious thoughts that we have, we have the conscious ones and we can control those. Nope, that one doesn't work for me, I'm going to use this one. We can control those thoughts. Those that are on the subconscious level, we have to really be careful of because they're driven by the race thoughts, that race consciousness that we're born into. They're driven by adopted thoughts that we learn from parents, from friends, from churches, from government, from the news, that we took on even without knowing it, even though they don't work for us. Those subconscious thoughts are also driven by mentality. If we believe in good and evil, then that's going to play into everything that our thoughts and our foundation is made up of. If we believe in hate, and you can put anything in here. Whatever those beliefs are, even if they're on that subconscious level, they play into the development of what we create into our lives, of how we experience life. If you have a foundation that's just filled with hate based on somebody else's patterns and behaviors, then your whole outlook on life is going to have that blurring it. It's not going to necessarily make you a hateful person, but it's going to make you wonder and question and judge and all kinds of little things. You're not going to be as open to meet people. So these thoughts are all running around inside of us, and we can overcome it. First of all, by our conscious thoughts. These conscious thoughts help reveal all this other stuff that's going on. And once it's revealed, we can start correcting and working on it. But it also helps us build that foundation on truth, on love, on peace, on goodness. It is in our belief that we must control our lives, that we limit the flow of God. How many of us, something happens in life and we feel like, this is on me, I got it, I'm going to go, this is going to be right. I'm going to force this, I'm going to will this, I'm going to fight this. It's easy to do. Watch the news and you'll find at least one thing happening that I'm going to fight it. It's in that need to control our experience. It's in that need to control from a human standpoint, using the same energy that created that problem, that we limit God. One of my favorite things to do when I was living on the ranch was to hop on a horse and just basically give it all the reins. Man, we were gone. And when that horse takes off, you're leaning into it. To me, that's the perfect example of how to fully experience God. On that horse, if I needed it to, if I needed to stop it, I'd pull those reins in. I would rein in control. It's because I knew a little better than that horse that we didn't want to go jump off that cliff. God knows a little better than me what to do with life. And if I'm pulling on those reins and I'm trying to control every step, I'm trying to force things to happen the way I want them to, if I'm doing that, God's not able to do that. God's not able to be in full control. Now, God certainly has the power, but this is where free will comes in. God could just take me and slap me around and say, shut up, we're doing it my way. He doesn't do that. We have to allow it. We must consciously align our beliefs. We must consciously align our knowing with God and good. We must embody this knowing. We must embody the presence and the power and wisdom that is God, that is available to us always. As long as our foundation is based on fear of being separate, and by the way, all fear is a fear of being separate from God. All fear. We start way up here. I have a fear of heights. I have a fear of snakes. I have a fear of spiders. I have a fear of this stuff. But those are all just surface level. When we start breaking it down, it all comes down to a fear that we are not connected with God. Because at the base of all fear, we feel like God's not taking care of us. God's not going to take care of us. So that's what all fear is. So we must align our knowing with God and with good. We must embody the presence, power, and wisdom of God that is within us and around us always. As long as our foundation is based on that fear and the separate of God, we're going to constantly have those not good enough feelings. We're going to constantly have that worry, that chaos, that disruption in our peace. But when our foundation is on wholeness, on pure, total connection, oneness with God, our thoughts do not have to be controlled, because that foundation is going to dictate how those thoughts rise up, how those thoughts surface, how those thoughts come to us. When we are building our experience on that foundation, we don't have to try to control everything that's going on, because the flow of God, the flow of divinity is moving through our lives. Jesus told us the kingdom of heaven is within. It is within, and it is found at our center. There's not one spot in my body that the kingdom of heaven is in. There is a place within my being that begins within this body, but connects to something much deeper. And that is where the kingdom of heaven is. That is where the source of all good, all love, all peace can be found. So when we turn to our center, and when we allow truth, this is capital T truth, that God, when we allow that complete and that whole unity with God to be the basis for all of our thoughts and feelings, life flows. When all you do and think is aligned with truth, with God, with unity, with wholeness, everything we see, Everything we experience is filtered through truth. And wouldn't it be nice not to get caught up in somebody else's stuff? We do it all the time. When we go within, when we let life be filtered through truth, we need not do that anymore. Life flows in the filters, in that filter of truth allows us to see pure love, pure peace, pure abundance. That'd be pretty good. You no longer limit the manifestation of God. So limitation is self-imposed. God is not open to God and let go of limitation. Could have said that last sentence and be done with it, huh? So just think about ways that you can do that. Think about ways that you're limiting yourself because you're trying to hold that tight control in situations that you don't really need to. So far, I haven't found one that I do need to when I really stop and look at it. So let's finish with prayer today. Father God, knowing divine wisdom, intelligence, and knowledge are infinite, we recognize divine mind is everywhere present. We know this to mean within us as well. Open our minds, open our hearts to expand, to reveal greater understanding of divine mind within. Open our minds and hearts to more fully understand the wisdom, intelligence, and knowledge that is already available to us. We are so grateful that this divine mind is within us and available to us. Our prayer is that we remember this precious gift and expand our awareness and understanding that we may more fully use it in our lives. We embrace divine mind. We express divine mind. For all this and more, we are grateful. And so it is. Amen.